Today, boys and girls, we are going to continue working on contractions. We have already learned that a contraction is made up of two words that go together, and as those two words go together, one or two letters leave the word, and in its place, an apostrophe is left. It's like those two words come crashing together. That letter or letters goes crashing and breaks apart and goes up in the sky and leaves a little part behind. So let's look here at these two words. We are. Say that I said this in a sentence. We are going camping. There's a shorter way to say we are going camping. I could say we're going camping. Do you see how that still makes sense and means the same thing? So what happens is this. I am going to take we and are. They're going to come crashing together. And what's going to happen is that A is going to go up into the sky, break apart, and leave an apostrophe behind. So now we have we're. I'm going to write that over here. So the word we stayed the same. Just where that A was is going to be the apostrophe. Then we have the R-E. This is we're. This word stands for we are. It means the same thing. The meaning of the words don't change. It just is shorter. We are going camping. We're going camping. So that A is what broke apart. Let's look at this set of words. They are. Let's think of a sentence. They are nice. They are nice. Well, a shorter way to say they are nice is to say they're nice. So looking at these two words, that A again is going to break apart, go up into the sky, and leave a little part behind. Remember, we call that the apostrophe. So when I go to rewrite my word, they is the same. In the place replacing the A is the apostrophe. Then I have the R-E. So again, remember that apostrophe is just where that A was taken away. Okay? So they are fun. They are nice. They are smart. We could say they're fun. They're nice. They're smart. Okay? Let's look at this one. We have the word you and the word are. We often use those together. You are terrific. You are my best friend. Well, let's have you and are go colliding together. That A is going to break apart, go up into the sky, and leave a little part behind. So instead of saying you are my best friend, we're going to say you're my best friend. So you stays the same. The apostrophe was right where that A was. That goes up into the sky. And then we have the R-E. So again, the apostrophe is not here. It's not here. It's here where that A was. You're my best friend. Let's look over here. I have do not. Do not touch that. Do not touch that. Well, boys and girls, I can make that shorter. I could say, don't touch that. Let's think about that. Don't touch that. Do you see the letter that you don't hear anymore? You don't hear this O. So when do not collide and come crashing together, that O is what breaks apart and goes into the sky and leaves a little part behind. Say that with me. What is that part? The apostrophe. So do not touch that becomes don't touch that. So I have D-O is the same. The N, then the apostrophe where that O should be, and then the T. Do not, don't mean the same thing. Don't touch that. Let's look here. Did not. I did not see that. A shorter way would be to say I didn't see that. Again, let's look at these two words. Guess what happens? The did and the not go together. The O goes up into the sky, crashes, breaks apart, and leaves a little part behind. Now it's not did not anymore, it's didn't. Did stays the same, that word stays there. Then the N, and then the apostrophe, and finally the T. Did not, didn't. Let's look here. Have not, have not. I have not seen him. I have not seen him. I haven't seen him would be a shorter way, right? So guess what happens? The have and the not, they collide and crash together. The O breaks apart, it goes up into the sky and leaves a little part behind. So instead of have not, we have haven't. So we need to write have, then the N, then the apostrophe instead of the O, and finally the T. I haven't seen him. That means the same thing. Let's look here. Could not. I could not get the answer right. I could not. I couldn't get the answer right. You're getting it, aren't you? So the O again breaks apart, goes up into the sky, and leaves a little part behind. So guess what? When we go to rewrite this, the word could stays there, doesn't it? Could stays the same. Then the N, no spaces, right? The apostrophe where the O was, and then finally the T. Couldn't. Boys and girls, let's look at this word. Should, and then this word not. Should not. She should not run. She should not run. Well, guess what? Should and not crash together. The O breaks apart and leaves a little part behind. Now we don't have should not anymore, but we have should, the N, the apostrophe where the O was, and finally the T. Read this word with me. Shouldn't, shouldn't. She shouldn't run. Means the same thing, but it's just a little shorter. Let's look here. Cannot, and I have a star next to this because this is one of the words that don't follow the rule. Are you ready? I cannot do that. I cannot do that. You know the word that should go there, right? I can't do that. But you know what here? We've been taking the O away, haven't we, and leaving the little part behind? But it's not just that. See how there are two N's, and this is just something that you have to know. We have to take out one of those N's too. So what I always say, there's no and can't. There's no and can't. So take out the no and replace it with the apostrophe. So in this special word, it's not just the O, but it's no. So when I go to rewrite it, I have can, the apostrophe, and then the T. Can't. I can't do that. You don't see the word no there, do you? There's no and can't. So make sure you take out the N and the O. This word is special. Let's look here. Would not. I would not do that. I would not do that. We know we take away the O, don't we? Whenever there's not, and we replace it with the apostrophe. Would and not. I would not do that. Let's rewrite it. Would. We have the N, the apostrophe where that T was, and finally the T. I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that. That's the shorter way. That's the contraction for would not. I have another star. Let's see what's going on. Will not. I will not do that. Does it sound right for me to say I won't do that? No, it doesn't. I won't do that does not make sense. You know what makes sense? I won't do that. Boys and girls, this is a word that's all mixed up. In fact, there's no ill in won't. And these two letters switch places. But this is a word you just have to know because you need to say it in a sentence. Because if you say it in a sentence, you're going to know what this word would be. I will not go. I won't go. You just have to know that it's won't. W-O-N. Guess what? Apostrophe T. Won't. This is a word you just have to know, boys and girls. Okay? Let's look over here. I have you have. Guess what? You and have are going to go together. Think of this sentence. You have great eyes. You have great eyes. What happens when you and have go together? The ha disappears. The H and the A. Not just the A, not just the H. Ha. You're going to take out the ha. So you and have go together. The ha breaks apart, goes up into the sky, and leaves a little part behind. I'm going to write that word over here. Notice we keep following that rule of the first word staying there. We have you. We need the apostrophe V-E. I'm going to read this word by saying you've. You've great eyes. You have great eyes. You've great eyes. Okay, let's look here. We have 3 minutes. We have 3 minutes. Remember, there's no ha. So we take out the ha. It breaks apart and leaves a little part behind. We have 3 minutes. We've 3 minutes. We need that W-E, that apostrophe where the ha was, the V, the E. We've 3 minutes. It sounds a little different, but that's the shorter way to do it. That's the contraction for we have. Let's look here. They have. Guess what happens? They have 2 dogs. They and have are going to go together, crash together. The H-A breaks apart, leaves a little part behind called the apostrophe. They have 2 dogs. They've 2 dogs. They stays the same. The apostrophe is where that H-A is. V-E. They have 2 dogs. They've 2 dogs. Let's look here. I have 1 cat. I have 1 cat. I and have, they're going to collide together. The H-A disappears, goes up into the sky, and leaves a little part behind. Instead of saying I have 1 cat, I could say I've 1 cat. That capital I stays the same, no lowercase. Then we have an apostrophe, and then the V-E. I have 1 cat, I've 1 cat. Let's look here. Would have. He would have eaten macaroni. He would have eaten macaroni. Instead of saying would have, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take away the ha. There's no ha in our contraction. We're going to leave the apostrophe behind. So guess what? We have would, the apostrophe, and then the V-E. Would have. He would have had macaroni. He would have had macaroni. Do you hear where it means the same thing? That's the point of a contraction. Let's look here. Could have. I could have done that. I could have done that. Again, there's no ha. We're going to make that contraction. It's going to leave a little part behind called the apostrophe. We're going to write could. Then we have our apostrophe, V-E. Let's see here. I could have done that. I could have done that. Could have. By now you're understanding, aren't you, what we're doing?